Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Aquarian Mind podcast. Today's podcast, episode number 141. I'm your host, Jamel Crothers. It's Book Inside Friday, and we're delving into A Woman's Worth Part 2. And this is the journey on how I wrote this. Now, when I wrote Part 2 to A Woman's Worth, I knew that this was going to be an important topic of discussion. Maternity leave. And through research on this topic, there are so many countries that are ahead in this realm where women get months and even up to a year worth of time off, and fully paid, by the way. The United States is one of the worst countries in regards to maternity leave and giving women the time off that they need to care for their newborn child, and my goal was to share that in this story. Writing the story of Lisa, I wanted to go into the journey of not only her pregnancy, but also the process of maternity leave, how it works, how long she would get off. I wanted to share how hard it is for mothers to leave their children to the caretaker of someone else to go back to the corporate world and worry about their child. I wanted to give you a glimpse of how women deal with the emotional toll of being away from their newborn child in their most important moments in their infancy. Talk about the financial aspect of what it takes for a woman to decide they're not going back to their desk job so they can be there for their child. Not many families can do that in today's economy, and how that plays a huge role in relationships and marriages. Because the majority of marriages have financial issues, and it's how they end a good amount of the time. It wasn't an easy story to write, but it surely was necessary. And while I wanted to discuss, paternity leave, I didn't want to shy away from how much women lose out on their children's lives because they need to provide financially in their household in order to live comfortably. Hopefully I accomplished that, and I wrote what was necessary, and I shared how much the United States government and corporations need to change their policies on maternity leave nationwide, because state by state doesn't help solve the issue, and that's what a lot of us don't fully understand. The goal of this story is to really start putting the pressure on the United States government to change how maternity leave is, and doing our due diligence in giving women the most precious time in their lives, the time needed for them to be nurturing their newborn child and growing their bond with their children. And it's sad that we have to fight and claw to get the things that we really need in this country. This country is nothing but corporate greed and money. And from other stories that I hear and read and see videos on of other countries, and how they make sure that it's about family and not just about money. I look at the United States of corporations, because it's not the United States of America, it's the United States of corporations. And I think to myself, there is a lot of corporate greed that goes on in this world. And if I have to be an author that has to step into the realm of writing about maternity leave, obviously there's something really wrong with the structure of all of this. And paternity leave is something that I discuss with men's issues, and I don't want to kind of get off topic with it, because maternity leave is the focus and goal on A Woman's Worth Part 2, and this is the topic of discussion that I'm focusing on today. And it's hard for me to see and hear and read stories on social media about how, women got 8 to 12 weeks, and before they know it, they had to find a caretaker, and they have to pay for that and go back to work and work at a desk, and things like that. Just, they don't work in the long run. And there are two situations where I have seen it work to where mom stays home with the child and the husband's able to provide, but it's a grind. And I have a friend that I've known for years, and he got married, and they had a child and things of that nature, and uh, they made a decision that she would take care of their son and things like that to make sure that he is in a good position to grow and become the great person that he is. And he had to grind, and he had to work tirelessly and work long hours and do all of these things to make sure that the family was good. And think about, just think about 70, 80 years ago, how a one person household was able to provide for a whole family, like a family of like 3 or 4. And now you have a family of just 3, and it's a grind to make it. How crazy is that? How inflation and the cost of living has literally impacted so many people's lives. And right now, as I record this, we're dealing with a huge inflation in the world right now, from cost of living to gas to food to anything that you can think of. The family structure is just not what it used to be. It's like the last of a dying breed right now. And maternity leave is something that really needs to be addressed. We need to increase it to 9 to 12 months, or however long a woman, needs that time off. But then what happens is now a woman goes back into corporate America, and now trying to climb that corporate ladder is even harder because she's been gone for so long. So now that promotion that she could get now impacts her life, right? But we don't talk about that. And that's the problem. And it's a big problem. This whole state by state thing, it just doesn't work. Each state with their different laws, I can understand it with certain aspects, but this is basically a black and white subject. This country needs to get back to family, not money. Not if you can sit at a desk, not if you can sit in a cubicle, not if you can sit in an office, not if you can do overtime, be underpaid, be underappreciated. No. It doesn't work that way. That needs to change. And I'm not saying all corporations are like that, because trust me when I tell you, I know that there are so many companies that are doing so well and striving and doing great and making sure that they're paying their employees, giving them the time off that they need, all of that. And I'm starting to see more and more on the job market that a lot of companies are offering unlimited time off. Why? Because people have lives. That's just the reality of it. And then there's some companies that offer the maternity leave and they're pretty good with it, but then they don't give people the vacation time that they need. So it's like, you can't win for losing, right? But it's a sad, sad, sad occurrence that we're dealing with. And I know there was something that I was reading while I was doing research before I started writing this book, and I saw an article in the United States is like at the bottom of like the major, bigger countries around the world. Like they're at the bottom of that totem pole, and it's bad. And we're at the bottom of the totem pole of a whole lot of other things that are going on in this world. And we're at the top of things that we shouldn't be at the top of things: crime and incarcerated people, and gun violence. But who am I, right? I'm just an author, just a guy that writes, right? But I pay attention to things. I just don't say much because I turn everything into a story that needs to be told. So just so you know, Woman's Worth Part 2, the rest of the whole book series, it's available. You can check everything out on my website. I'm going to leave the link. Click away. Look at, the whole process and the journey. And I hope you guys take the time to, read the story. And understand why I did it, because it needed to be written. Anyway, that's my podcast for today. I thank you guys for listening. As always, have a good weekend, everyone. Be good, everyone, and go accomplish your goals.